Hi, my name is Michele Bachmann. I'm a former federal tax litigation attorney. I'm a businesswoman. We started our own successful company. I'm also a member of the United States Congress. I'm a wife of 33 years. I've had 5 children, and we are the proud foster parents of 23 great children, and it's a thrill to be here tonight in the live free or die state. Thank you.
Answer the American out there who says, maybe I don't like all of the details, but after what happened in 2007 and 2008, I don't want Wall Street to not have somebody looking at them, watching what they're doing.
Well, I'm looking forward to answering that question because I introduced the repeal bill to repeal Dodd-Frank because it's an over-the-top bill that will actually lead to more job loss rather than job creation. But before I fully answer that, I just want to make an announcement here for you, John, on CNN tonight. I filed today my paperwork to seek the office of the presidency of the United States today, and I'll very soon be making my formal announcement. So I wanted you to be the first to know.
That. All right. Well, welcome. Now, if you're out there and you don't get the distinction, coming into the night, Congresswoman Bachmann was exploring. She hadn't taken that last step. The other candidates had taken it. I'm sure they welcome you to the fray. Let's continue the conversation.
Yes, as a journalist who's written frequently about healthcare and medicine for both newspapers and for corporate publications, I'm very concerned about the overreach of the massive healthcare legislation that was passed last year. My question is, what would each candidate do? What 3 steps would they take to defund Obamacare and repeal it as soon as possible? Thank you.
Congresswoman Bachmann, let's start with you on that.
Thank you, John. Sylvia, thank you for that great question. I was the very first member of Congress to introduce the full-scale repeal of Obamacare. And I want to make a promise to everyone watching tonight. As President of the United States, I will not rest until I repeal Obamacare. It's a promise. Take it to the bank, cash the check. I'll make sure that that happens. This is the symbol and the signature issue of President Obama during his entire tenure. And this is a job killer, Sylvia. The CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, has said that Obamacare will kill 800,000 jobs. What could the president be thinking by passing a bill like this, knowing full well it will kill 800,000 jobs? Senior citizens get this more than any other segment of our population because they know in Obamacare, the President of the United States took away $500 billion, $500 billion out of Medicare, shifted it to Obamacare to pay for younger people, and it's senior citizens who have the most to lose in Obamacare.
Help the gentleman address his concerns that the Tea Party somehow, the influence of the Tea Party somehow pushes him out.
Terry, what I've seen in the Tea Party, I'm the chairman of the Tea Party caucus in the House of Representatives, and what I've seen is, unlike how the media has tried to wrongly and grossly portray the Tea Party is really made up of disaffected Democrats, independents, people who've never been political a day in their life, people who are libertarians, Republicans. It's a wide swath of America coming together. I think that's why the left fears it so much, because they're people who simply want to take the country back. They want the country to work again. And I think there's no question, Terry, this election will be about economics. It will be about how will we create jobs, how will we turn the economy around, how will we have a pro-growth economy. That's a great story for Republicans to tell. President Obama can't tell that story. His report card right now has a big failing grade on it, but Republicans have an awesome story to tell. We need every one of us in a 3-legged stool. We need the peace through strength Republicans, we need the fiscal conservatives, we need the social conservatives. We need everybody to come together because we're going to win. Just make no mistake about it. I want to announce tonight, President Obama is a one-term president. We'll win.
Congressman, get ready for the new jobs in manufacturing. Should the United States government, the federal government, be, say, helping community colleges with their vocational training programs and things like that?
Well, the United States federal government and the states have done numerous job training programs over the year with mixed results. So this is what we need to do to turn job creation around and bring manufacturing back to the United States. What we need to do is today, the United States has the 2nd highest corporate tax rate in the world. I'm a former federal tax lawyer. I've seen the devastation. We've got to bring that tax rate down substantially so that we're among the lowest in the industrialized world. Here's the other thing. Every time the liberals get into office, they pass an omnibus bill of big spending projects. What we need to do is pass the mother of all repeal bills, but it's the repeal bill that will get of job-killing regulations. And I would begin with the EPA. Because there is no other agency like the EPA. It should really be renamed the Job-Killing Organization of America.
Okay, I'll get you 1 second. Congresswoman Bachmann, to you. Elvis or Johnny Cash?
Oh, that's really tough. That's really both. Both.
Both?
Yeah.
Both.
Great. I've got Christmas with Elvis on my iPod.
All right, now we know what's on the Congresswoman's iPad.
John, I was in the middle of this debate. I was behind closed doors with Secretary Paulson when he came and made the extraordinary, never-before-made request to Congress, give us a $700 billion blank check with no strings attached. And I fought behind closed doors against my own party on TARP. It was a wrong vote then. It's continued to be a wrong vote since then. Sometimes that's what you have to do. You have to take principle over your party.
You'll get a vote on this issue. What Governor Romney outlines is the goal of Republicans. Let's get a big deal to balance the budget. If you can't get that in the short term, as this date approaches, and those negotiations are continuing, what is your price tag? What is your price tag in at least a first wave of cuts? And if you don't get it, would you say to the House Republicans, no, let the government go into default? That's where we need to stand.
I've already voted no on raising the debt ceiling in the past, and unless there are serious cuts, I can't. But I want to speak of someone who's far more eloquent than I, someone who said just dealing with the issue of raising the debt ceiling is a failure of leadership. And that person was then Senator Barack Obama. He refused to raise the debt ceiling because he said President Bush had failed in leadership. Clearly, President Obama has failed in leadership. Under his watch, in 2.5 years, we've increased the federal debt 35% just in that amount of time. So what we need to do, both from the Congress and from the President, he needs to direct his Treasury Secretary, pay the interest on the debt first, then we won't have a failure of our full faith and credit from their prioritized spending. We have to have serious spending cuts.
Okay, appreciate that. Again, I want to ask the candidates just a little bit shorter in those answers so we can keep the voters involved.
Congresswoman Bachmann, let's turn to a serious subject. New Hampshire is one of 5 states where individuals who happen to be gay can marry legally. This is a question of conflicting interests. I know you're opposed to same-sex marriage. As president, would you try to overturn, what influence would you use from the White House to try to overturn these state laws, despite your own personal belief that states should handle their own affairs whenever possible and in many circumstances?
Well, I do believe in the 10th Amendment, and I do believe in self-determination for the states. I also believe that marriage is between a man and a woman. I carried that legislation when I was a senator in Minnesota, and I believe that for children, the best possible way to raise children is to have a mother and father in their life. Now, I didn't come from a perfect background. My parents were divorced, and I was raised by a single mother. There's a lot of single families and families with troubled situations. That's why my husband and I have broken hearts for at-risk kids, and it's why we took 23 foster children into our home.
What would President Obama do to initiate and facilitate a repeal law on the state level? Anything at all from the White House? Would you come into the state of New Hampshire, for instance, and campaign on behalf of a repeal law?
I'm running for the presidency of the United States, and I don't see that it's the role of a president to go into states and interfere with their state laws.
All right. Well,
I do support a constitutional amendment on marriage between a man and a woman, but I would not be going into the states to overturn their state law. I would keep the don't ask, don't tell policy.
So you would, whatever the Obama administration does now, you would try to go back. You'd try to reverse what they're doing.
I would, after, again, following much what the speaker just said, I would want to confer with our commanders-in-chief and also with the Joint Chiefs of Staff, because I'd want to know how it was being implemented and if it had the detrimental effects that have been suggested that will come.
Representative Bachmann, I have a question for you. Governor Paul Lentia says he opposes abortion rights except in cases of rape, incest, or when the mother's life is at stake. Do you have any problem with that position? And if so, why?
I am 100% pro-life. I've given birth to 5 babies, and I've taken 23 foster children into my home. I believe in the dignity of life from conception until natural death. I believe in the sanctity of human life. And I think the most eloquent words ever written were those in our Declaration of Independence that said it's a creator who endowed us with inalienable rights given to us from God, not from government. And the beauty of that is that government cannot take those rights away. Only God can give and only God can take. And the first of those rights is life, and I stand for that right. I stand for the right to life. The very few cases that deal with those exceptions are the very tiniest of fraction of cases, and yet they get all the attention. Where all of the firepower is and where the real battle is on the genuine issue of taking an innocent human life. I stand for life from conception until natural death.
No, your opinion on your involvement with Libya.
Congresswoman Bachmann, should the president have supported, joined, additionally more U.S. presence, but now a NATO operation? Was that the right thing to do? Is that in the vital national interest of the United States of America?
No, I don't believe it is, and that isn't just my opinion. That was the opinion of our Defense Secretary Gates when he came before the United States Congress. He could not identify a vital national American interest in Libya. Our policy in Libya is substantially flawed. And it's interesting, President Obama's own people said that he was leading from behind. The United States doesn't lead from behind. As Commander-in-Chief, I would not lead from behind. We are the head. We are not the tail. The president was wrong. And all we have to know is the president deferred leadership in Libya to France. That's all we need to know. The president was not leading when it came to Libya. First of all, we were not attacked. We were not threatened with attack. There was no vital national interest. I sit on the House Select Committee on Intelligence. We deal with the nation's vital classified secrets. We, to this day, don't yet know who the rebel forces are that we're helping. There are some reports that they may contain al-Qaeda of North Africa. What possible vital American interest could we have to empower al-Qaeda of North Africa and Libya? The president was absolutely wrong in his decision.
Mr. Speaker, if there is a President Bachmann, and you are only allowed to hire one of the candidates on this stage, which one would it be and why?
Don't choose the old guys.
Oh, well, maybe we'll have to have an American Idol contest and go from there. There we go. We'll let the audience decide. In the last 2 hours, I've learned more about the goodness of the American people. From the question from John, his 3 sons that are serving in the Navy, his wonderful service. Everyone who asked a question this evening.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry, I need to move it along. I don't mean to interrupt, especially when you're doing that tribute.